when AI came out, we started using it also on our own because we also built Microtica with Microtica.
Every business owner needs to be looking at their numbers, KPIs, everything, track everything.
AI will not replace engineers now right away, but it will replace those that don't use AI.
If you love what you do, you never work a day in your life, right?
And that's basically how the whole Microtica journey started.
Welcome to the podcast from Cold to Close. My name is Saeed and I'm the founder here at SRC Growth Partner, a growth company that works with professional services firms from around the world to help them increase their revenue and profitability by acquiring new clients. My guest today is Marija Naumovska, the Chief Growth Officer of Microtica. Marija brings a unique perspective to growth. She's a former software developer who's transitioned into marketing and growth, specifically for developer-focused products. At Microtica, she's helping DevOps teams deploy applications and manage cloud infrastructure more easily without requiring deep cloud expertise. Marija, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. It's great to be here. So thank you for having me.
No worries at all. I'm really looking forward to the conversation. I think it's going to be quite an interesting one, especially as the world of software development develops. I guess it becomes a very interesting topic and quite topical amongst certain demographics. So I'm really looking forward to this conversation. But I feel like the best place to start with any conversation, especially for our viewers and listeners out there, is to really understand you as the guest a little bit more. So could you share a little bit more about your journey from a software developer to a chief growth officer? What prompted the transition? How did you get to where you are today?
Okay. Yeah, sure. No worries. Yeah, so I've been working in Microtica from the start. I'm actually one of the co-founders of Microtica. So basically, since it is a DevOps platform tool that helps DevOps engineers deploy, optimize, and monitor their applications, it kind of made sense for me as well to get into that, let's say, marketing or growth hat. Basically, because it requires, that you have that technical knowledge because you talk to a lot of developers, you talk to a lot of technical people, CTOs, and you try to not market to them, but bring the product to them and explain the value. So you need to have that background. It's easier to have that background and be able to understand kind of the topics that you discuss, the value that you bring, different use cases. Everyone has different architectures and different setups. So it actually became really natural for me. I started off as a software developer in the product itself. So I was working on the front end part, and then I kind of transitioned into the product and then into the marketing and growth phase.
Wow, quite the journey, but I guess it's a journey that lets you understand best, firstly, the business, the product, but then also how to grow and scale the business to where you want it to get to. So I think it's really important, especially when you have, I imagine your co-founder has complementing skill sets to yourself, and that's what naturally veers you towards that growth element and maybe him towards a different direction. Could you share a little bit more about the product itself, the software itself, and maybe share a little bit about that for our...
Yeah, of course. Let me give you some context into Microtica. So what we are actually a DevOps automated platform that helps engineers and teams all over the world deploy and scale and monitor and optimize their applications and cloud infrastructure. So what our, let's say, mission and vision is that we enable software teams to use the cloud in a way that big enterprises can do it, that have a lot of DevOps engineers, have big teams. They can use the cloud in a productive way, but not all smaller, DevOps, smaller startups and mid companies can do that because they either don't have the resources to pay DevOps teams or they can't find the right expertise. So they're like really hard to find. And that's the idea behind our product, that we enable every type of, team and startup use the cloud in a right way. So we started off as a deployment tool. So what we had in our first version, we had these ready-made templates where you can start off with infrastructure and some common applications like Node.js, Next.js, so you can build front-end, back-end applications, microservices, and everything you need. And then we naturally kind of built up on that, and we added what we call them day two stuff. So the day one is, the deployment stuff where you get in, you use these templates, and then you deploy on your cloud account. And then naturally you have to kind of monitor that, see what's going on, whether you have some incidents, you have some errors, you find root causes, you see whether you can optimize anything, what your costs are on the cloud. So we added those things in the next version. And right now we are rolling out these AI agents, which are, let's say, like an addition to everything that's built in the platform. So what we want to do is we want to give you, like you have a teammate, like an AI teammate inside your team that helps you, with those mundane tasks, helps you investigate stuff quicker, helps you build stuff and go to market very fast. So that's kind of the phase that we're in. We just launched our first AI agent a couple of days ago, actually, and we plan on adding at least 3 more that cover the whole kind of DevOps lifecycle. So yeah, it's an exciting time for us for sure.
Oh, 100%. It sounds like you've got so many things going on at the moment. You're launching left, right, and center 2 days ago, having just launched that. I think it's really interesting you just mentioned AI agents because I know it's becoming more and more topical now. And primarily because everyone talks about optimizing their businesses through AI. And often on a surface level, people will think, okay, well, does that mean do I just use ChatGPT within my organization and then I'm using AI? When in reality, there are so many more sophisticated tools out there that are genuinely helping as a pull a lever in someone's business that really removes a lot of those mundane and repetitive tasks you mentioned. Talk to me more about what AI agents do and what the actual difference it can make if you use it correctly in your business.
Yeah, so what we're trying to do is, build these purpose created teammates and agents. So we provide the context to them of everything that's in DevOps, like building that model, building real case scenarios, and adding the context of infrastructure and applications and cloud into that AI agent so that it's able to solve the actual problem that you have. So you can use ChatGPT or you can use anything you need in the organization, but that's not really specific to what you have. And in this case, you just add your AWS account or your cloud account, and the agent is able to understand what's going on there. So that immediately gives you, like a boost, a speed bump that they're able to observe for you. They're able to suggest stuff that you can do, like correlate different data points that it would take you, days to do. And of course, the idea is that they're able to act on it. I mean, right now, that's, I think, still not something that's applicable, but the idea is that they're able to kind of fix things for you, auto remediate stuff, build stuff for you, auto optimize, and those sorts of things. So yeah, they bring enormous productivity gain for teams, especially, as I said, for the small ones that need, rapid delivery, they need rapid scale. They could have like a campaign running through, they have like a lot of users, they need stuff to happen quickly. So yeah, it reduces a lot of manual work. It helps them, adopt DevOps faster than they would take days. They would need experts to do that. So a lot of gains, I would say.
How much faster does an AI agent actually speed a specific task up? Because you mentioned that things might take days for a person to do. How much quicker can an AI agent do the same task, let's say?
Yeah, I can share that on the second agent that we have, that's the infrastructure builder. So the idea is that with that, you're able to create infrastructure from plain text. So you just tell it, I need an e-commerce application, and it's able to kind of generate the infrastructure as code for you, and you review it and you see. So it basically gives you like a diagram of all the services that you need. And one of the early testers that we had was actually able to create like a staging environment for their setup in 90 seconds.
Wow.
So
Wow.
because it just thinks and generates infrastructure as code. So I mean, yeah.
That if like think about the applications that that can have to so many businesses out there, and I'm sure you know having launched it, but for our viewers and listeners out there who maybe have heard of the term or not necessarily dabbled in it as much as they could, think about the kind of power that would have in adopting something like that in your business, where a task that may take you a few days, it may take you having to go external to find a consultant to help you. A simple AI agent can, in a blink of an eye, essentially create something for you. So it's fantastic to hear that and the developments with AI. What's the biggest challenge in developing AI agents for such technical use cases like you mentioned?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say the use cases themselves. So really everything is possible. So you could have any setup, any environment, any service. So, different teams use different tools, different setups. And I'd say that's kind of the biggest challenge, at least what we have. So we've had to, think about top three services that we would enable in our MVP for the agent because you cannot cover everything. And that's the reality. I mean, the great thing is that they learn over time, more information is able to create the agent to enable the agent to use that information and to give you more outputs for different use cases, but still it's something that you need to control. So yeah, that's been the biggest challenge, just separating the use cases, trying to make things more simplified because in reality, they're not that much. There are a lot of complicated setups, a lot of complicated infrastructures, complex tasks that happen. So I say that's kind of the biggest challenge. DevOps itself is a huge space, and AI with DevOps I think it's even bigger.
Yeah, no, talk, how big is the space for DevOps? For the viewers and listeners out there who don't understand what DevOps is or understand the enormity of the space, can you maybe share a little bit more about how large it is, especially?
Yeah, I mean, as I said, you can have anything and everything. So we have, I don't know, setups on different cloud services. You can use Kubernetes, you could use serverless, you could use containers. So basically everything is possible, a Lambda function. So you just have, I don't know, a lot of services from the different cloud accounts. And you can have different troubleshooting errors. So anything can happen in different setups. Let's say products that have thousands of users have one set of problems, and products that have smaller users have a different set of problems, B2B startups or B2C startups. So, I mean, it has like a lot of potential, but that also adds a lot of complexity because you need kind of to figure out which ones you will take.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think it's always interesting to hear an entrepreneur's journey to how they built this iteration of, and you mentioned the term earlier, MVP, right? A minimum
Hmm.
viable product. I think it's really
Yeah.
important to understand that, especially for business owners out there that's listening, it's often very important to get something out there rather than just not get anything out there and keep it all in your head. So talk to me about the iterations you've had of your products and how it's evolved over time and where you are today with how you want Microtica to kind of approach the market.
Yeah. So as I mentioned, when we started off with a real MVP. So it was really just a simple front end and it had like these deployment options. And we started off with a couple of clients that we had in our consultancy business. So we previously had a consultancy business. So we worked with different clients, we worked with different setups. And that's basically how the whole Microtica journey started. So we needed it inside our company because we had a lot of spread knowledge all over the teams and we needed a platform that would kind of standardize everything and it will be reusable. We would be able to share the knowledge. And then we added one team, DevOps team, we created it and then they were kind of in charge of everything and they used the platform to kind of build everything. So what we now call platform engineering, let's say, we had that in the company in the early days. And then we rolled off that first feature. The biggest hit there were the templates. So those were, ready made blueprints of infrastructure that's needed, different AWS services, the most common ones and the most common applications, architectures and applications. And basically people love that because it was something that they could spit up quickly. We had open source tools like Strapi, like Medusa, like AppWrite, you're able to kind of just get in and set up an infrastructure immediately. And yeah, the next thing that was also natural to us, but it also came from our customers because, they were done with the deployment, but then they used different tools for monitoring. They needed to set that up and everything. So we added that inside the platform. We added inline monitoring. So we integrated with an open source tool. We added it into the platform. We added cost optimization inside the platform as well, auto scaling, and everything that's kind of necessary in this journey of DevOps, so that you're able to do everything in one place. You're able to handle all your environments. All that's happening is in there. You see all your pipelines, builds, and everything. And basically, when AI came out, we started using it also on our own, because we also built Microtica with Microtica. So the platform is built using the platform. So we started using it ourselves first and trying to investigate, different stuff for our clients, for our users. And we saw that it actually worked. So we were able to investigate, things quicker, faster. It was able to correlate different stuff, something that we didn't see, another service impacting this one and those sorts of things. And we started rolling it out a bit to our customers as well, trying to get their input there. We also created these sessions of user research, I think was it called. So for the UX part and for the onboarding part, because we had some trouble there as well on the onboarding part of the platform. So we used that. We had sessions with 10 to 20 interviews. I think they were, one-on-one interviews. So we used a researcher that's kind of an expert in that field. And then we did that as well. So we had sessions with different DevOps engineers, with developers, and we iterated again on that. And then we used that knowledge as well to fuel this AI agents and the onboarding part of the AI agents as well.
Wow. So it's layers upon layers, and you've kind of worked on top of it. And I love the fact that you mentioned that you had initially a consultancy, and then you understood the problem, you built something to deal with the problem, and then you started using it yourself, and it just grows from there. And I think it's so interesting. I want to talk to you, I think, especially with platforms, software platforms, the customer journey is so important, whether it's first point of contact, onboarding process onwards, and keeping that LTV alive and keeping them integrated with the platform and using it consistently. Talk to me about what the customer journey looks like for Microtica customers.
Yeah. So what happens is we usually have a lot of technical content. So we put out there a lot of on different topics of DevOps, use cases, and everything that we can, because that is crucial. You need to bring value to technical users. And that's where we get, let's say, the most traffic and organic visits. We also are really active in these communities that I mentioned with the templates. So Strapi users, Medusa users, and different types of, backend engineers. And basically what they need to do first is try it out. So we do have a freemium. We have a free plan that you're able to use. We did that with Microtica, and we have that with the agents as well. So there's kind of a limit on that. It's one environment, or I don't know, like 50 credits or something like that you're able to use and try it out, because that is crucial. So any developer and DevOps engineer needs to try it out to see how it works. And that's kind of the first contact point. And then we have this self-service part that's mostly enabled in the, let's say, I call it old platform, in the platform that we already have. The AI agents are still, as I mentioned, in MVP, they're kind of in a beta phase. So, but we do try to get that whole onboarding self-service part in there as well. And it depends really on the customer. So some of them do need kind of that POC part just to see how that works. And let's say the ones that have simpler architecture, simpler stuff to do, they use the self-service part. So they're able to just get in, use the templates, and basically move on and enable monitoring there, enable cost optimization, and they use kind of the whole thing inside the platform. So it's product led. But the customers that have, I'd say, more complex setups, they usually want to talk to us. They want to, explain kind of what's happening, what they need. Is it able to support that, and those sorts of things. So we do have a contact point there before they go into the kind of the buying phase.
Sure.
I'd say. Yeah.
It makes a lot of sense. And it sounds like you've got a lot of touch points in ensuring that it's a smooth journey and trying to maintain that LTV. Obviously, growing a software company of any kind is a challenge in itself, right? There's a lot of challenges involved in growing any kind of company. But talk to me, it's more a case of understanding how the team you build actually can help you develop the product itself. So talk to me about your journey in building the team and hiring and building that culture within the organization. How does that look for Microtica?
Yeah, so we actually try to give everyone their space. And when we bring people, we really try to see, that they're good at what they do and we let them do it. So, I mean, there is, of course, onboarding and getting to know the product and everything, but that's kind of the first thing that you need to do. You need to get to know the product and you need to get to know kind of use cases that it can support and everything. So, when we bring, I'd say, community builders or marketing people, technical content, SEO people. So we first kind of communicate with them and try to onboard them, but then we let them do their stuff. And I think that's proven to be the best thing for us, I'd say. We work with a lot of external people, so the core team hasn't really changed that much from the beginning, I'd say. So the marketing team and the sales team and the development team has been for a couple of years now, hasn't changed that much. And when we need something else, we usually bring outside experts to either grow stuff, do campaigns, do a product hunt launch, do, I don't know, an SEO campaign or anything that we need. We usually work like that. So we have tried in the past to do different ways, but it's, as a startup, I'd say it can be difficult to, build a team that stays with you a long time. So yeah, we managed to kind of be together, the group that we are, and it works great for us.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I think when you find a core group, especially, it's so important to have A team players pulling their weight in any kind of, especially in the startup environment, because if anyone's not doing the right things, it can be quite detrimental to the actual business, the company itself. So it's always better to have a small group of A team players than a large group of B, C team players who are not necessarily providing as much value for a startup environment as possible. So where do you see the DevOps tools market heading? And how is Microtica positioning for that future?
Yeah, I do think that we'll be seeing more and more of AI in DevOps. So what I'm looking at these couple of days, there are different experts talking about that and how AI will change, how the way we build infrastructure, how we think about creating solutions, and how everything that we've known up until now and everything that we've set up until now will dramatically change. So I do think that's coming. And we are preparing for that for sure. And we want to try and be a leading force there because we do believe that, of course, AI will not replace engineers now right away, but it will replace those that don't use AI. So the way that I think GitHub Copilot changed coding tremendously, I think that will also happen for DevOps as well. And we want to enable that for every DevOps engineer and platform engineer out there so that they're not left behind, that they're able to kind of embrace the changes and be with the times.
Love it. Love it. So, in this segment of the podcast, we like to call the Entrepreneur's Room. And that's a series of questions we'd like to ask all of our guests to give our viewers and listeners an opportunity to understand how business owners and business leaders think and operate in their business. So, the first question I'd like to ask at this stage of the podcast is, how are you currently spending your days as a leader of the business?
Yeah, currently I'm looking at KPIs, looking at how everything is going now, what the campaigns are bringing, which campaigns work, where we need to fuel more, where we need to have a step back, where we need to show up. Is there a conference? Is there something that we need to go and be there? So mostly that. I'd say every day I wake up with numbers and I go to sleep with numbers. So yeah, that's my bread and butter.
I love that. I love that. Every business owner needs to be looking at their numbers, KPIs, everything, track everything. Because if you're not, then it's the fastest way to not knowing what's going on in your business, right? And that kind of leads me on to my next question, which is, what are the most important metrics for you? What are the KPIs you look at as a leader of the business and helping run the business as smoothly as possible?
Yeah. The biggest thing for us is activation. So what we call is someone activating the actual product, getting that value point, the aha moment or what they call it in PLG. So basically, having someone get in and get the value, whether it's like a report from the AI investigation agent, whether it's a successful deployment, whether it's an optimized resource. So that's kind of the biggest thing that I'm looking at. And then, of course, I go kind of backwards in the funnel. So I'd say that's the bottom thing. And then I go backwards and look at where has that stopped? What stopped this person from activating? What stopped this person from signing up? I don't know, they read this article but didn't sign up or anything. Why didn't they come to the website? What happened here? But everything kind of starts from the activation point.
I love that. I love that because a lot of people, they don't take that kind of meticulous approach to breaking down where the prospect journey or potential customer journey is. And I love the fact that you're looking at bottom of funnel activity and then working your way up to top of funnel, because it gives you a
Yeah.
good picture of what is someone's journey before they actually start their journey with Microtica. So I think that's really interesting and great insight for our viewers and listeners out there. So how are you currently growing the business? What kind of business development, sales, marketing activities are you currently doing to grow the business?
Yeah. Yeah. So we are doing different campaigns, different launches of the AI agent. So we're doing, as I said, product hunt, then Hacker News, of course, Reddit activities. So those are kind of the ones that, are organic, I'd say. We also are really active in communities, either here locally and also globally. So we are part of AWS Community Days. So we have talks there. We go on different, conferences. So that's also been like a hit point for us, talking to developers face to face and meeting them there and offering demo sessions. And basically, that's kind of the biggest thing that we are fueling this year. And also, let's say the PLG way, the self-service way of inbound marketing, technical content. Those are the main activities that we do all the time.
Sure, makes sense. Content is king, as they say, and then especially nowadays, especially with technical products as well, in educating the market and helping them
Yeah.
understand exactly what your solution does, but also conferences as well, like being able to go speak to people and tell them about it, just shout from the rooftops exactly what you do and how you do it. So I think it's really interesting that. So where does most of the business come from? You mentioned a few channels there with conferences, with inbound content, different marketing campaigns. What's the most effective channel for your business?
For the self-service plans that we have, which are smaller, they're, I'd say, from 50 to 300. So licenses, they come from self-service. So the most effective is definitely the organic, the templates, the use cases, different videos, explaining how to do this or that, communities. So those are the most effective ones. And for the bigger licenses, the sales channel for sure. So conferences, being out there, making deals. So those are, bigger numbers, bigger licenses. So you need to have that sales cycle there with the companies. And we do have those both streams. So we have, let's say, both parts of the business that are active. And we talked about it, maybe moving to one side or to another, but it's been working really good for us this way. So we decided to give it a go this year as well. And then I guess we need to kind of see whether we would move to one point or to another.
Yeah, no, it's always the case, isn't it? Like you may have a gut feeling with something, but it's so much more important to get the information first and get the data first before making that decision,
Yeah.
because it allows you to be more strategic about it. Because once you have information, you can then go, okay, based off of this information, I can make a strategic move. So it's really interesting to hear. You've been in business now for many years, and I'm sure you've experienced many failures, many lessons, and tried many things that didn't work. What's the biggest lesson you can share with us today for our viewers and listeners?
Oh, that's a good question. Yeah. I'd say, I don't know. I don't want to be cheesy and say like try to have fun, but I mean, of course, every business needs to be taken seriously and you should do that for sure. But you also need to try and have fun in that process. Like really have fun when, go to a podcast or talk to a customer or solve a problem or anything that happens in the business, you need to be able to see kind of the good part in it. And I'd say that would be my biggest probably takeaway, because I did tend to take things too seriously at one point, but you need to kind of relax and, not go with the flow, but try to get, as you said, try to get all the information, and then stuff come to you and you see in which direction you need to go and what needs to happen and how to do this and that. And yeah, I'd say maybe that.
I love it. I love it. I think it's so interesting, and I couldn't agree with you more. I think it reminds me of the saying, if you love what you do, you never work a day in your life, right? And it's essentially, if you're able to have fun with even the hard things, and if you can see the benefit within the hard things, it no longer becomes a burden. You can turn up to it and go, no, this is part of what I do. I can enjoy this. It's hard, but when you achieve something, or when you complete a difficult action or a difficult piece of work or a task, there's an achievement element of it. There's a dopamine hit that is more beneficial, and you enjoy it even more. So I think that's a great piece of advice there. Thank you very much for your time today. It's been a fantastic podcast, and you shared some really interesting insights today. I like to end every single podcast with the same question, and it is, if you had a magic wand you could wave to solve one business problem, what would that be?
Hmm. I wasn't ready for this for sure. I think I'd say what our, let's say, mission or vision is. I'd probably want to solve, developer and DevOps burnout. I think people are really overworked and they spend a lot of time, debugging and doing stuff and building and not knowing what's happening behind the scenes. So I guess that I try to solve that. Maybe it's not a business problem per se, but underneath it impacts the business. So yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. It 100% does. And if you keep your people happy, or keep your people in a good place, in a good mind frame, the business does better at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
100%, I think that's a fantastic place to end the podcast. Maria, it's been an absolute pleasure speaking with you. And thank you very much for sharing your insights. For all those out there who might want to reach out to you, where would they find you? Where would they need to go?
Yeah, they can find me anywhere. So mycrotica.com, Maria, mycrotica.com. So I'm on LinkedIn, Twitter, every account I have, Reddit, X, everything. So yeah, I'm Maria from Microtica. So you can reach me anything you need, any problem, solution, anything.
Perfect, perfect. Well, again, thank you very much, Maria, and have a great rest of the day.
Thank you as well. I really had fun.
I'm glad. I'm glad.